7 years ago, my parents told me not to come home. On my wedding day, I found out why. Don't come home. Your sister doesn't want you there. My mother's voice was cold that night. Not angry. Not loud. Just final. I remember standing outside the house with my small suitcase in my hand. The porch light was on, but the door stayed closed. I kept waiting for it to open. For my father to step out. For my sister to say she didn't mean it. No one came. The argument had started over something small. It always did. My sister said I cared more about that girl than my own family. She said I was choosing Aisha over blood. My parents didn't even ask me if it was true. They just looked at me like I had already betrayed them. That night, they chose her. And I left. I was 19. Hurt. Angry. Too proud to beg. I thought someone would call the next day. They never did. 7 years passed like that. No visits, no birthdays, no messages. I built a new life in another city. I work hard. I stopped talking about the past. I told myself I didn't care. But some wounds don't close. They just stay quiet. Now I was back. The town looked smaller than I remembered. The streets felt unfamiliar, like they no longer belonged to me. The old bakery was still there. The paint was faded. The trees near the bridge had grown taller. My wedding was in 3 days. I wasn't here to see my parents. I wasn't here for my sister. I told myself I was only here to finish something I never ended. The flower shop stood at the corner of the main road. Soft yellow lights glowed inside. The window was filled with white roses and baby's breath. It smelled the same as it used to, sweet and fresh, mixed with rain in the air. I stood outside for a long moment before pushing the door open. The bell above it rang softly. And there she was. Aisha. She was standing behind the counter, arranging flowers carefully. Her hair fell over her shoulder just like before. She wore a simple white dress with rolled-up sleeves. No makeup. No smile. She looked peaceful. Until she saw me. Her hands stopped moving. A rose slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor. For a second, neither of us breathed. You came back, she whispered. Her voice carried the same softness. The same warmth that once felt like home. For a few days, I replied. The silence between us was heavy. Full of things we never said. Full of the night I left, the night she didn't stop me. 7 years ago, when I walked away from my family, she watched me go too. And she never followed. I always wondered why. We stepped outside the shop because the silence inside felt too loud. The sky was heavy with clouds, and the air smelled like rain. Cars passed slowly on the road, but it felt like the world had paused just for us. We stood near the window, not too close, not too far, like strangers trying to remember how to stand near each other. You look different, Aisha said softly. Her eyes moved over my face like she was searching for the boy she once knew. Older, I replied with a small smile. Life does that. She nodded. Yes, it does. There was something tired in her voice. Not weak, just worn. I heard you're getting married, she said after a moment. Yes, I answered. The word felt heavier than I expected. She looked down at her hands. She was twisting her fingers together, the way she used to when she was nervous. I remembered how I would hold them to stop her from doing that. Now I kept my hands in my pockets. Why didn't you ever call? I asked quietly. She looked up, surprised. You left without saying goodbye. I came to your house that night, I said. My chest tightened as the memory returned. Your mother said you were sick. She told me you didn't want to see me. Aisha's face changed. Not anger. Not shock. Pain. I was waiting for you, she whispered. I stood near the window for hours. The wind picked up, moving her hair across her face. She didn't brush it away. Flashbacks rushed through my mind. The week before I left. My sister's voice filling the house with lies. Saying Aisha was using me. Saying she was talking to another man. Saying she would leave me once I had nothing. My parents believed her without question. You never replied to my letters, I said. I sent 3. Her eyes widened slightly. Letters? Yes. She shook her head slowly. I never got them. A strange silence fell between us. Something didn't fit. The past suddenly felt wrong. Like pieces were missing. I noticed the silver chain around her neck. The one I gave her by the river the night we promised to never lie to each other. She was still wearing it. "You could have tried harder," I said, though my voice wasn't angry, just hurt. She swallowed. "I did." The way she said it made my heart beat faster. "You're hiding something," I told her. Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly looked away. "It doesn't matter anymore," she said quickly. Too quickly. But it did matter. Because the truth was standing right there between us. And neither of us was ready to say it out loud. The church was bright with white flowers and soft golden lights. Music floated gently through the air. Guests smiled, whispered, adjusted their clothes. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. I stood at the altar, dressed in a black suit, staring at the closed doors at the back. In a few minutes, they would open. My bride would walk in. A new life would begin. I felt nothing. I hadn't invited my parents. I didn't send them a card. I didn't call. 7 years ago, they told me not to come home. Today, I made sure they had no home in my life. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Just once. I almost ignored it. But something inside me told me not to. One message. From Aisha. "Please meet me outside. Just 5 minutes." My heart started beating harder. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself this was my wedding day. But my feet were already moving. I stepped outside the church. The air was cooler. The noise inside became distant. She was standing near the gate. And she wasn't alone. A small boy stood beside her, holding her hand tightly. He looked around nervously, hiding slightly behind her dress. My breath caught in my throat. He had dark hair. Dark eyes. My eyes. "He's 6, Aisha said softly. Her voice was shaking, but she stood straight. "I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you left." The world around me faded. "Your sister came to my house," she continued. "She told my parents you were engaged to a rich girl. She said you chose money over me. She said you laughed about us." My hands clenched into fists. My father was furious. He said I had shamed the family. We moved away. I tried to call you, but your parents told me you didn't want anything to do with me. Each word felt like a knife. 7 years. 7 years of lies. The boy looked up at me slowly. "Are you my dad?" he asked in a small, careful voice. I couldn't speak. My chest felt tight. My throat burned. Behind me, the church doors opened slightly. Someone called my name from inside. The music was ready. The bride was waiting. But for the first time in my life, they were the ones waiting for me. I knelt down in front of the boy. My hands trembled as I touched his small shoulders. "Yes," I whispered. "I am." Then I stood up. I didn't turn back toward the church. Some families push you away. Some lies steal your years. But the greatest revenge? Choosing the truth and walking away from the ones who tried to destroy it.